Hello viewers, my name is David Suarez and today I'm going to be dissecting this sheep brain for physiological psychology, or otherwise known as Psych 4353. So to begin, I just want to first identify the key things right here, such as this being the cerebrum and this being the cerebellum, which is responsible for controlling balance and muscle coordination. This right here is the spinal cord, which sends motor commands from the brain to the body, and it also sends sensory information, and it also coordinates reflexes. So I'm going to start dissecting it. Going to cut it from the middle. I'm going to try to get a perfect half. Hopefully I get it. It doesn't look like it right now. So as we can see, I've already separated the two hemispheres, the left and the right. And to start, I want to identify the medulla, which is right here. And the medulla is responsible for having centers for heart rate, blood pressure, and respiration. Here, I believe I cut some of it off while I was cutting in the middle, but here is the pons, which is responsible for having nerve tracts that connect to the cerebellum with other parts of the brain and spinal cord. And if we go up further up, we have the midbrain, which acts as a relay system by transmitting information necessary for vision and hearing. Now, up here, this little thing right here is the pineal body, which is responsible for secreting melatonin. So here, this little piece right here, this white area, is known as the corpus callosum, which is responsible for connecting both of these cerebral hemispheres and allowing them to communicate with one another. Above it, I don't know if you can see, it's not really good looking right here. You can see it better right here. These grooves above the corpus callosum is known as the gyrus, which is basically the motor area of the brain. Up here in the front of the hemisphere would be the olfactory bulb. Can't really see it here. I don't know if it's on this brain, but it's normally up here. It's the olfactory bulb, which is basically, it provides information about smells that the sheep would pick up from the nose, and it sends that information to the brain itself. Underneath the bulb, right here, is this right here, this little piece right here that I'm pointing at, is the optic nerve. The optic nerve relays messages from the eyes of the sheep to the brain in order to create visual images that the brain ends up seeing. Right here, we have the hypothalamus, which is plays a very big part in the brain, in the sheep brain, because the hypothalamus regulates and maintains the internal homeostasis. And it does that by controlling the body temperature of the sheep. Now, underneath the hypothalamus is known as the hypophysis. And the hypophysis is basically a part of the endocrine system and makes several essential hormones that are secreted across the body. Going back into this area, we have the thalamus, which is right here. And the thalamus is basically a sensory relay center. So basically, the sensory nerves enter them and are then directed to the appropriate cerebral region. So the sensory nerves go into here and are basically directed into the appropriate section of the brain. Right above the thalamus, we have the superior colliculus, which is essential for helping the sheep orient different things in the outside world. So in particular, the superior colliculus helps with eye movements in order to identify and object the different things in the outside world. And to end it off, I should have mentioned this in the beginning, but right here we have the central canal, which is responsible for transferring nutrients to the spinal cord. So that there was the 15 different parts of the sheep brain that I just identified. Of course, there are a lot more that we can get into. Unfortunately, this sheep brain isn't very visual, so it'd be hard for me to distinguish the other different parts of the brain. But that about wraps it up. And so right now, I'm going to grab the bag that the brain came in, put the scalpel to the side, and basically just clean up, because it is the end of the dissection. I'm going to put it in the bag. Make sure to wrap it up and put it in another bag, and then I'm going to clean the table with Lysol and paper towels. I'm going to be using this Lysol right here to be cleaning down everything, disinfecting everything. And that about wraps up the sheep dissection, and so I thank you viewers for watching.